Howdy everybody out there in YouTube land. So as we're continuing with this, we're trying to upload as much content as possible today so we can really get this channel going. I'm going to go for 5 to 10 videos. So let's get started with a little bit of magic, because that's what my main thing is, right? I do magic on my other channel. You can either look it up by Card Reviews and Magic Theory with me, your host Jesse, or you can look it up by JC Magic, but other people are using that handle as well. So today we're going to be doing one of the oldest, newest tricks in the book, which is the classic cups and balls. Now, why do I say it's the oldest, newest trick in the book? Well, because I'm doing it today, and so many other people do it as well. So in order to get started, we're going to need 3 balls. Now, of course, if you're already amazed by what's happening, don't worry, the magic hasn't started yet. This is just to get us going. For the first one, we're going to have it go through 1 cup right down to the bottom. It's going to melt down through. It's already done. For the second one, this one, we don't want that to roll away. That's definitely not what we want. For the second one, this one's going to cascade down. You could use a wand, but I just like to use my hand because it's faster. Now, you got to keep an eye on it because it does happen pretty quick. Now, the last one is for you in the back. Yep, you, right over there. It's not going to go through 1, but 2. And that brings us back to where we started with 3 balls. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. And that is the first setup, the first phase of the cups and balls. So go ahead and check out the video up here, and you'll be able to see the rest of that. It's awesome. Okay, now, in order for us to keep going, what we're going to do is we're going to have this ball disappear. Yeah, it's going to disappear and reappear right over here. Very good, very good, very good. So, now that is out of the way, we can go check out cups and balls. I ran out of room. Well, there you go. That's how you do that, right? You just clutter everything up so you can't put anything anywhere. Good stuff. Now, let's get into what we're going to be talking about today, which is my notes. Yes, my notes. Okay? We've done 2 videos so far on the Land of Forever to get us started. We did the prologue. You can go check that out. And we've done what is the Land of Forever, because everybody wanted to know. Nobody even knew what was going on. Anyway, so I have 3 notebooks here from back in the day. This is my what have you. This is my note setup, right? So this one says outline, so I'm going to guess that has something to do with like outlining my different stories, which I'm curious to see what's in here. I'm like, I haven't read these in almost a decade in some cases. This one also says outlines, but I think that one is actually ideas. I changed it from outlines to ideas. So that's going to be interesting to see what's in there. And this one is my characters, because I really spent a lot of my time working on characters. So let's go ahead and check out my outlines first. This could be a longer video depending on how big these books and how much stuff is in here. Okay, so basically what we have here is, if I can even read some of this stuff, Days of War. All of my titles are ideas, work in progress. I don't know, just the fillers, right? So Days of War is one of them. We've got prologue, chapter, let's see, all the way up until chapter 10, and then we have an epilogue. So we've got 10 chapters. These aren't, I don't know if they're big, how long the chapters are going to be. I basically wrote out a paragraph for like what's happening in the chapter to give an idea. Let's go with the prologue. My main character is Freef. His real name is Freef. I don't know. Freef. Freef and Susan write the story humor and serious, right? Because this is the prologue. This is like in the future when Freef is telling the story to his granddaughter and she's writing out the story. So this is, and then it goes, the prologue will also go into starting the story. And then chapter 1, Free After So Long. Basically, I know this is a chapter that I have written, and this is basically Freef's brother, Rick. Their last name is Ford, so Free Ford, Rick Ford. So Rock is his nickname, because now what is happening in chapter 1, all this stuff is going on. He's control of a military. It's not necessarily it's like a militia, if you will. And then he goes to where his brother Freef is imprisoned. He was imprisoned wrongfully, so Rick finally finds him after 4 long, or I don't remember how many years, but he finds him after all these, because he was taken, And then he had to find them. So he finally found them, and then he went and got them. But at that point, it had already been too late. But yeah, so there's the outline for Days of War, which is something that we can get into as well. That's a fun little story. What else we got here? Oh, Defender of Ford Pass. This is my beauty, right? This is my baby, because you can clearly see I've got a lot of words here on the paper. That's great. That's grand. But it's all laid out for you, because all the way up to chapter 10, that was the idea that I was going for. That book's actually written, not in rough draft form. It's written. It's a doozy. It's like almost 300 pages. It's decent sized, I think, for a small, like a novella type thing. But I don't even know if this matches up. I don't even know if this outline matches up with the actual story, because initially it was supposed to be 10 chapters, and then it turned into 3 books. Like, it's not necessarily 3 books, because that would mean that they're only roughly 100 pages apiece, but I put them together into a compendium. That's not really how I wrote them. It's basically 3 different time periods into a collective work for what happened. So basically, you have the Defense of Ford Pass, and it basically encompasses all of the defenses by this certain group. And some of these things might need to change, because even as I think about them years later, even from the videos that we've already done, there's certain things that don't really add up. And I think that that's something to take into account, because they don't make sense. For instance, for this book, I'll give you like a big disclaimer here. Big red, big spoiler, is that the Defense of Ford Pass is defended by the people who live there. But they are controlled by the capital, which makes sense, right? So the capital will send troops to them, because they are actually, it's a Ford Pass, it's named after the main characters from the previous book, because everything takes place in like the same world. And so in this current time, the people who live there defend the pass if somebody attacks from the other side of the mountains. But of course, the army is sent there. Well, there's a permanent military station there, garrison, that at the first part of the book, everything's good, but in the second part of the book, they actually take away all of the, they sanction the army. They take all the resources away, so they have to defend it on their own. Doesn't make sense, because the leader of the capital is actually the brother he grew up there. So I'm like, what is happening? Why is this? I don't know. So that's something I might have to explore if I go back into the story as to why that happens. I don't know. It's a very strange, convoluted thing. What else we got here? D&D campaign story. Okay, so basically what happened was we had a D&D story. This is notes, so it's like all over the place. But we had a D&D campaign that we did, and it was long running for a couple of years. And so my brother and I sat down to write the story. That's all we wanted to do, was just write down what happened in the campaign. Anyway, so like, we did not end up writing the story. I mean, we did kind of write down what happened, but we ended up going with the prologue. Bad idea. Don't go down the rabbit hole of doing a prologue, because then you have to come up with a backstory. Well, then the whole time that we spent writing was spent on the backstory, and we never actually wrote the campaign. We wrote a whole other story, so that'll happen to you. Anywho, let's see. It looks like we're pretty blank here, but there's more stuff in here, I'm guessing. No, that's it. There's a couple other pages here back towards the back. But that's rough. That's pretty much it for the outlines. Which is strange. I don't have an outline for Land of Forever, which, I have online stuff as well that we can go through. Back in the day, I was using Wattpad for my writing stuff, but I would upload stuff, but I wouldn't promote anything. So now I'm curious as to whether or not the stuff in the back is actually stuff that I wrote. Oh, okay, here we go. That makes sense. It's not actually anything important. It is important, sorry. It's maps for Defender of Ford Pass. So that's what this is, maps. Map of the Land of Eagles, because back in the day, that was what it was called. Excuse me. So there is the outlines. That was faster than I thought, right? Now we're going to save characters for last, and we're going to go with ideas. What kind of ideas did I come up with? So Days of War. So this is the ideas for this. Writing out, again, it's basically look at that, prologue. I mean, I basically wrote it. That was my idea. I wrote it. Prologue is all right there. Starting out with that. That's good. Anything else in here? There's not a lot of writing in here, and that's kind of sad. That means I got a lot of stuff to catch up on. But I had a very strange. There's more stuff in here. But I had a strange way of writing, which not really all that strange. I would just turn the computer on and start typing. Didn't really like a lot of the writing out stuff. Again, Defender of Ford Pass. I wrote stuff. So here's how I would do it for this particular thing. Alborn tries to tell Denard to withdraw, to only maintain Ford Pass, but he chooses to fight Division 6 in the wooded hills around the pass, being his biggest military mistake. So basically, you have the rest of the defenders. This is like the core people. You know how military, like David Gummel, one of my favorites. So he would do like this military fight, and on day, like they're defending the pass, and at the end of the battle, the people that are left, the defenders, are the best. These are the people that were going to survive either way for the most, like depending on the situation. You lost some good people, but these are the hardened people. You got rid of the soft ones on day one. So in this case, like the other side was like, don't engage the enemy on their turf. These fields are where they grew up. They know the territory. They know it like the back of their hand. And he's like, I'm just going to attack, and gets devastated. Zeke's father. This is Zeke is the main character of Defender of Fort Pass. He has a utility vest. His father had a utility vest where he kept like tripwire, poison, pine resin, extra nails. You know, it's a utility vest. So he carries a bunch of stuff in there. Benet is one of the other main characters. I love, and if we get into the characters here, we're gonna the 4 or 5 main characters from this. Love them. Beautiful. He has a kunai, and I will briefly explain how this happens. So the way that the passes are set up is they have these fortifications in the pass, which is basically a wall with a gate that you have to defend, and it's structured throughout the valleys. So at this particular one, sometimes what you would have is you'd have engaging troops, and then as they, you knew that you were going to lose it, so you would just withdraw to the next one throughout the whole mountains. In this particular case, the enemy force had actually overtaken the gate in real time, which obviously, like if you're combating, you might do a tactical retreat. Well, at this particular gate, they got over the wall, and they're engaging hand to hand directly. Well, Benet is up on the rampart, which is like 10-15 feet, and he's fighting, and he gets knocked off the wall, and he falls. Well, they ended up ramming the gate at basically around the same time, and they got through the gate. Well, these gates are held up with like chains, and not held up, but they're the mechanisms and stuff. Well, it rips. It got hit so hard that it ripped the metal off, and the chain flew out, hits him in the head. Big old gash in his head. Pretty bad. Well, his arm, I don't remember exactly how it happens, but he ends up like putting his arm into the chain and wrapping it up and having the kunai and basically protecting his arm with the chain. It was already broken, I believe, at the time, and he just whips the chain back and forth and just solidifies himself as an absolute beast in this battle. Like this is one of those moments when they're like, the kid did what? Type of situation. He really just, and all like with this big gap, he couldn't see anything. He was practically blind for the fight because of all the blood, and he's just flailing around, but he ended up creating this really powerful moment in the story because of that moment. So it's a big thing. So let's see here. There's some turmoil back and forth with Zeke and his mom because the dad died during the last conflict, basically defending the pass. That's what their family does. Benet versus Scott. This is okay. So just giving you like a rundown. This is exactly how I break down these scenes with the conflict, right? So 2 pages worth of material here. Benet is not actually his real name. He was actually abandoned as a child because his brother Scott, their last name is Blinks, right? Scott Blinks is a sociopath that sold his mother and father to the military, sold them out basically for a coin purse full of gold or silver or whatever, for money. And Benet was his younger brother who was left behind. So now he's just left on the farm by himself or wherever they're at. And he started traveling and he ended up surviving, but he changed his name, and it's really a silly little thing. He's like Benet. It's like fancy, but it's actually a sheep, ba, and a horse, neigh. And so he says, Benet. He's like it's not fancy at all. It's just what animals sounds they make. But anyway, Scott's big thing is he uses a poison yo-yo. Now that plays a part here because if you remember, Benet actually gets the kunai and chain. Very similar in the tactics of weaponry, like it's a ranged weapon. Well, it's poisonous. It's actually like a wire. It's like a metal wire with poison on it. So when he flings this thing at you and it wraps around you, and any little amount of burn or touches your skin, and it's gonna create. It's an assassin weapon, if sort of. So like it's a very powerful poison. So they get into a fight. I could read you this verbatim, and it would be absolutely fantastic. So let's go ahead and do that, because this is my video. So why don't we go ahead and read you this? Because I'm excited about this work. It's been so long. So let me see if it pans out the same way. In my head, that is. So Scott Blinks has a poison yo-yo. The string is tightly sealed with poison. He wraps it around people's throats, causing a slight skin burn. They die slowly over the next few days. He fights Benet in Section 2, Part 3. So this is, I believe, the end of the, towards the end of the story there, at the last stand. So this is, remember how I said earlier how it's broken up into different parts. Well, there's the first part, and then there's the second part where they don't have all of the resources of the capital. So this is at the last stand, so at the end of that. Riley, another guy that, this guy's a beast, right? So he's massive. He's almost 7 foot tall. He's a farmhand. His dad was like one of the richest ranchers. Well, Riley was attacked when he was a child on his land because he witnessed a crime being committed, and he's like, hey, you're not supposed to be here. Well, they attacked him. And so now he has PTSD, and he basically rages anytime that he sees somebody being taken advantage of. Well, during that time, he can't speak. He's a mute. So I think they cut out his tongue or something like that. So again, like it's getting off track here, but that's Riley. So he had just died defending the supply line. They swarm in. Zeke is unconscious after his battle with Alborn, which is the next section here that I have, where he lost his thumb and index finger. Again, these are notes, so it's really kind of like a condensed version. If I actually put this in the story like this, that would be strange. Blinks attacks Benet as he is protecting Zeke's body. So it's a big moment because Benet is protecting his, for all intents and purposes, his adoptive brother. Zeke was really a mentor to him in a lot of ways, and so that's like his brother. And so his actual brother, who he disdains because of the things that he did, is now attacking him to finish Zeke off. Blinks uses a glove that shoots darts. It's kind of a cool mechanism. Closes his hand and it shoots darts out. All about poison, all about deception. He doesn't care how he wins. He just wants to win. 2 of them hit Benet, making him lose grip on his chain. He is forced to switch instead of being able to throw it, he has to switch to holding on to it because he doesn't have as much dexterity in his hand. He stumbles around, slashes at Blinks. He dodges and the direction here is all back and forth. Scott dodges and then unwinds his yo-yo. Benet lunges, trips on his chain because he's all disoriented and tired at this point too. It's the last stand. It's after everything happened, and he's still, the yo-yo wraps around his throat. The string cuts deep due to Benet overextending. So like normally if you just do this and pull, it would be enough to like do a little cut. In this case, he's lunging, so he's falling forward. He wraps it around his throat, pulls, it cuts in. Blood comes out. Then Benet starts to feel weak because of the poison. He's already weakened, all this stuff. Tears fill his eyes as he then he sees Zeke in front of him, like in the terms of like how he got turned around. He sees Zeke and he's like, "This, I need to protect him. Overwhelmingly, I need to protect this person that has become my brother, not the person attacking me, but that we're fighting." All his friends were gone. They were gone. Zeke was unconscious in front of him. Riley had just died. Another guy who was a part of their group was paralyzed and taken away, so he doesn't even know what's going on with him. This is it. This is like the big moment. He can't let that. He can't fall here, right? He's the only one left. He was still that young kid who could never seem to do anything right? Because his parents were taken away. He's from a different country, and so there was like some problem. He couldn't actually join. And this is where some of the problems came up with the original story, because initially it was from a dream idea, and then it was converted to this story. So it was like more modern in the sense that like he didn't have a passport type idea, so he couldn't actually join the military. So he was like just that guy consulting. I don't know what you want to call it, but so he was just like working with them, but like he wasn't getting paid because he wasn't part of the military. Going from there, this was the end, and he knew it. So whether he's dying, but it's the end of the story, really. So he knew it. This is the end of the battle. He just wished he had a chance to tell Zeke the truth. There wasn't any fur trading business back home. He's like in his internal monologue talking about the fact that there wasn't any home. He had lied the whole time, but they all knew that. There wasn't any home. He learned all his skills the hard way, every step of the way, until Zeke gave him a place in the world, a home. Now he was going to let that man be murdered, just like his parents. So all that kind of comes out in this like big moment of him remembering and recollecting me, and he's struggling to just survive, right? His vision blurred and darkness claimed him. He felt weightless as his body moved of its own accord. The last thing he saw was the surprised look on Blink's face as the chain wrapped around his throat and the long spike entered his chest, because he did a kunai with chain, but he had the spiked shield, the barred shield with it was basically a dagger, the long dagger with the spike, but it had a chain attached to it. So here's Scott just like, haha, I've got you trapped with the yo-yo. You're done. And what you don't realize is that if you're already losing, he's just like, fine, if it's already the end or whatever. So he throws the chain around Scott at that point, because he's already close. And so he throws it around him, pulls him in close, seals the deal with the spike. The kunai came down, just same combo. Throw the chain around, pull in, pulling them into this spike, and then finishing with the dagger. Just to, now, obviously, there's some weirdness there, because he just saw Zeke, but so where's his orientation? Where is he facing? Is he behind him for the throw? Or so some questions there. He remembered when they ran together in the field outside the little shack. They were poor. That's why Scott was like, "Oh, we're poor. I might as well sell my family, and you have money now." He had always wanted to be as fast as his brother. Now they're both dead, embraced in this endless struggle, to which ever afterlife, and this is the lion and the snake, right? So the idea, like I have drawn up here, one has a yo-yo that has the Leo symbol on it, and the other one has his Tard shield with the spike that has the Leo symbol on it. And here you have Benet, who's this like animalistic kind of, he's got the sheep and the horse, but he's like very majestic, very loyal, very, and then you have the snake, who's all about the poison, and like the snake of the, the yo-yo being a representation of that. Whereas the Tard Shield, even though it has a similar design, is all about the majestic, standing proud and being face to face. So it's kind of all comes together. There's some very powerful moments, at least to me, in this. So let's get back into it. We still have, yes, a lot of stuff. Zeke and Elborn. This was a decent fight. If I don't remember anything about it. Zeke finds out about yeah. So it's finding out here that there's more information. Yo-Yo has like a little inscription in it, which has Scott and Leo. His real name is Leo, not Benet. Yeah, anyway, all that stuff. Fall of Riley. Oh, man. Riley just a beast of a man. We're talking in like Berserker, really. So he's massive and just goes into this Berserk mode. There's that. All of this still, because again, as I said, this story is all written out. The Defender of Ford Pass is completed. It's a completed, what you want to call it, rough draft of the story. So there's all this. There's so much attention here to all of this stuff. Section 3 notes. A lot of weird stuff too, because I really started incorporating some things that didn't really make sense. There's even like some samurai stuff in here because one of the side characters, he has a story. This is an interesting little thing that I did here, it's called the Warrior Cult. So basically it's a D&D idea. You've got the Barbarian, you've got the Knight, the Priest, the Templar, the Rider, like a Ranger, the Sword, the Fighter. Then you have the Shadow, which is like the Thief, the Minstrel, which is the Bard, and the Unarmed, which is the Monk. And then you have the Soul, which is guessing. You already have a Priest and a Templar, which is Cleric and Paladin. The Soul is maybe like the Sorcerer. I don't know. You don't really meet all. Granted, the Minstrel's name is Bardock. So Bard is even in the name. So you got some really cool stuff going on here. And then you have the Sanctum, which is four people in the Sanctum, which is basically the Magic Guild. The Warrior Cult is basically the Adventurers Guild, and then that's all. That there's only 10 members at the moment, and these are all like people that you hire if you want to have some good mercenaries on your side. The Sanctum is part of the Magic Guild. There's 4 of them. They control nature, they control truth, they control silence, and elemental. So there's a lot going on there. So they start to play a role. But the problem is that in that third act of the book, or the ending, like towards the end, when I start to incorporate this stuff, excuse me, there's a lot of like world building going on, and they're not really sure what's going on with that. So, I mean, this is like other stories that could spawn from this world. Go ahead and use it. I can upload these, but we'll talk about it real quick. The Barbarian is Sephorath. He's a massive, barrel-chested man. Just all about like offensive attacking, brilliant. Darla's the Knight. She's always very gotta do what's right. The Priest, Manus. Rorik is the Templar. You don't really see Sephorath and Darla show up in the book. They're actually hired by at the end. Then you have Dardan, I skipped some. Rorik and Gray. You don't hear about Manus, Rorik, or Gray. Dardan is mentioned because Darla and Dardan are, I don't know if they're in a relationship, but they talk to each other in a very romantic way. You don't actually meet Dardan, but Sephorath makes fun of Darla because of Dardan. Dardan is the fighter. He's actually a D&D character, my first official D&D character that I had when I started. Allure is the Shadow, Bardock is the Minstrel, Sorrow is the Unarmed, and Soul is the Soul. I have no idea what that means, so don't ask me. But use that at your leisure. The Sanctum is Ariel. She controls nature, and I don't know how to pronounce these. It's been so long. Amenetiel controls truth and the power of truth. Charum, I don't know if that's how you pronounce it. Charum well, I created it, so it's got to be that's how it's got to be said. Is the effigy of the sanctum, which means he is the pedestal, he is the controller at the time. Charm is silence because they very hush hush, I guess. That was the same theme with Land of Forever. There's like hushing knowledge, but no, he was really basically this guy has he doesn't like sound. It's annoying to him, so he exudes silence. It's weird. Prism, elemental, yeah, makes sense. A lot of stuff going on here. Still more Defender of Ford Pass. More Defender of Ford Pass. Oh, here we go. Now we're getting somewhere. Then we really start to get into some stuff that I don't even know if it's going to even pan out in that story. So you get to like a whole third act that just doesn't make any sense. I'll just say that. If you ever read it, or well, if we read it on this and I get through all the way to the end, it's not great. Well, it's fine. But meaning that it gets really confusing. Let's put it that way. So we have Ezekiel Adam Leguit is the name of the main character. Then you have Simit Keshen, Benet, that's the only name given. Real name is Leo Blinks, and Scott Blinks is his brother. Riley York. Then you have Elza Denard, Eric Alborn. Those are the two. Remember Alborn? Well, he's the one that fights Zeke. He's the one that they said, hey, don't attack them, and he does, and then gets wiped out. Carl, I don't even remember who Carl is. Carl, it's just Carl. Carl, he's so important to the story. Scott Blinks, obviously that's the... And Elza Denard, I believe, is the commander of... No, he might have been the commander of the other side. I don't remember. But Land of Forever, Chapter 3 continued. I don't even know... Interesting. This is Land of Forever. So let me give you a little bit of a drop of this. I don't know if this is the actual... In my actual on the. Let me come in here and see what I've got. I don't even have a table of contents. It just goes to prologue and then just jumps right in. Let's see. Chapter 4. Nope, that's not it. Chapter 3. The young Juggernaut walked through the crowd. So Chapter 3 continued. So let's see if this actually. This is Chapter 3 continued. Not even sure what's going on here. A lot of stuff happening. Oh, here it is. So this is Chapter 3 continued right in here. So a little excerpt for you. Basically, you couldn't see that, but I was looking on the computer because I still have it brought up. So here's what a commanding officer says to his subordinate. It's not a direct subordinate, mind you. He's an officer, and he's talking to a private per se, and this is what he says: "Follow my orders or walk a different path. It is your choice, but first decide which path is more desirable." That's a threat, just to put that out there. On one hand, you have protocol, you have orders and rules. The same as we have always had. Or you have change. Follow my orders, make new protocol, have new orders, and new rules. Together we can change our world. Now, mind you, it sounds like a threat, but in actuality, as we get through that, this is actually a monologue. This is actually the one of these characters is talking to a subordinate saying, look, I'm offering you a different way. You don't like the way things are now, but you continue to follow the same path. I'm offering you a new path that will potentially take us in a better direction. So it's really a very powerful speech that he's giving there, and I like that. So that's Chapter 3. That's a part of Chapter 3, which we have to do Chapter 1 and 2, but then 3 is next. We're not going to skip it, obviously. Okay, so there's some stuff going on there. To prophesize the future. That's another chapter. I don't know which chapter that is because it doesn't say. That's just one of the titles. This is an idea that a friend of mine had. I don't even know. Let's see. It's a dream sequence, I guess, is what I came up with. Rich man with much negative aspects, not even written in like it's just notes. Much negative aspects, in coma, dreams of a perfect life, love, struggle, turmoil, perseverance. Man has nightmares of his real life, and at the end he wakes up and realizes his nightmares are real, decides to commit suicide to return to his fantasy. It's a very strange, like, kind of an Inception kind of idea. Like, he's in a coma, dreaming, but in his dreams, he's actually remembering the things that happened. So when he actually wakes up from that coma, he doesn't want to be a part of that. He wants to go back to the fantasy. Well, basically, Inception idea. Then I add a couple of notes about, like, what actually happened. So, like, his wife is a drug addict. Maybe she ODs. His son dies in the military. His daughter is missing for some reason. And then apparently he's rich, like has a lot of money, but he's alcoholic. And all of his friends are fake. They just want him, they hang out because he pays for stuff. So yeah, these are ideas. I don't know. Dream life. His wife is actually an activist for drug addicts. And a counselor. His son is a war hero that's decorated and home every holiday. Obviously the opposite, basically. His daughter is a typical teenager. Great, sounds good. He's clean cut, poor. So apparently, in his happy space, he doesn't have money. And so his parents were alcoholics, so he doesn't drink. And he has genuine friends. Go figure. It's just the opposite of what the other stuff there. I don't know what this is. This must be the start of that story. Okay, yeah. So the next few pages is basically me starting the idea of that story of that man that we just talked about. Apparently his name is Chris. Oh, there's more stuff in here. Good deal. There's more Easter eggs for you. I don't know. We're just having fun here, talking about ideas, writing. You know, this is what this channel is all about: is inspiration of this is one of my hobbies that I had. So talking about this stuff, if I'm never going to use any of this stuff, and if I do end up using it because you guys inspired me to do so, great. But if there's anything in here you want to use for now, take it, use it. Let's see, what do we got here? Shaylander? I don't know, I just wrote that in the margin up here. What is this? Backflash, whatever a backflash is. Finishes preps with Wilkes, walks with daughter to courtyard, gets message from messenger. The old oak desk. I don't know what this is. Unknown. Let's just put that as unknown. I think this is what I was talking about, that D&D campaign. But this was the backstory. I think. I think that's what it is. Yes, this is what it is. Because her name is Flora. Yeah, so that's what that is. That little story there is what we had worked on, my brother and I had worked on for the backstory for the D&D campaign that we were going to write, which we did an outline for, but never actually wrote the campaign. And it looks like we got some more stuff in the back here. Lots of stuff going on here. Okay, what do we got? The Guardian. Ooh, that sounds fancy. MC has to battle the forces of good and evil. Struggles at first, but then realizes he has a hidden power. He turns into the Guardian. Has a massive claw used to absorb magic or essence of an energy being, such as an angel or demon, etc. Sounds familiar somehow, and maybe I got that from something. I don't know. Magic is banned because it is being used to hold Satan in hell. Fascinating. There's an idea. That's the prologue. Chapter 1. Some young idiot summons enough magic to plunge his city into darkness. Satan destroys his prison. Wow. Okay, now we're getting somewhere. Back in the day, I was heavy into religious writing, apparently. Satan destroys his prison, making hell collapse. So hell is basically all, like, he comes out of his prison so forcibly that it just destroys hell. He opens a void to earth, freeing most of the damned. Garrett, I think I meant Garrett. Garrett Alsander, Gabriel, appears to charge the boy with crimes against God and his fellow man. So this is Gabriel the angel. The boy is confused. With hell gone, he can't send the boy there, so he takes him to the end of the world and throws him over. I don't know. Over what? He throws him over the edge, the cliff. It's a flat Earth. I don't know. Satan steps through his portal and collides with the falling boy. Why would he be? Why is his portal on the edge of the world? It doesn't make any sense. When they hit the bottom, Satan grabs the boy and begins to kill him, but realizes where they are. Therefore, identifies the boy as the one who freed him. That doesn't make any sense unless the magic that the boy did somehow connected him, like he unlocked the key. But that's not inferred here, so I don't know what that means. Satan realizes the boy beginning a shift that alters the entire world. So somehow the boy is now like an important part of all of that. I don't know what that means though. Then I have a bunch of stuff here drawn out, some like doodles. Apparently I got tired of writing. I don't know. And then I have a breakdown of Land of Forever. Which I'm actually going to do different videos on these different types of characters. But let's talk about that real quick. Servant of Uday. This is basically my character breakdown. Prophet. He is a speaker, as I said in the prologue. That's actually that's like a character class that you can be in this world. Caretaker, again, is a healer. It's a type of class that you can be in that world. That's just what they're called because humans don't have names. So they just named them after what they do. Juggernauts, obviously. A couple of other things. Chapter 7. Oh, wow. Chapter 7, Chapter 8, Chapter 9, Chapter 10. We've only got 4 chapters in the thing there. Yeah, we got all of these chapters. There's more I haven't written. But I have the whole outline done, apparently, for Land of Forever right here. So that, and it's not in the outline book. It's in the ideas book. So it hadn't made it to outlines. But this is an outline. But it didn't make it to the outline book. It's just still ideas. Juggernauts, humans, giants, servant of Uday, prophets, caretaker. Yeah, lots of fun stuff there. What do I got over here? Whitney the Countess. Actually, that's a misnomer. Is that the right word? She actually goes by Whitney the Count, and I don't remember what story this is from, but she believed, well, and she correctly so, that if she went by Whitney the Countess, they wouldn't care what she said. So she pretends to be Whitney the Count, apparently. So that's going on there. Man sells souls so he doesn't have to go eat or sleep. That seems like a heavy burden to pay. He tries to protect family but fails. Years later, he saves a small group of people from end of days. A girl tries to convince him of his worth, but he shows her the truth. What? You're showing me my worth, but that's not true, because I'm going to prove to you that I'm worthless. Well, that's like a self-fulfilling prophecy, right? I don't know. Man and girl are talking. Guy gets radiated. Not sure how that comes about. Okay. Going to hell. Again, something... Apparently going to hell is a big theme in my stories. Time is irrelevant. Example. Judas and Arnold are sitting together. Obviously, because everything's happening kind of at the same time there, I guess. Lucifer is a normal-looking guy who gets upset when people think he should look like a demon/devil, look like a rundown apartment complex. It looks like a rundown apartment complex. Okay. Litter everywhere, slums outside the great city, great shining walls with guards everywhere, making sure nobody from the outside comes in. So basically, Hell is the suburbs of the Golden City. And so Lucifer's the landlord. Okay, so that is old. That is old. This is back from early, like later 2000s, early 2010s, somewhere in there. So definitely somewhere between 2008 and 2014. I don't know exactly when. It's not time stamped, sorry. But that was an idea for sure that never took off. Let's take a look real quick through my characters. Got a lot of stuff going on here, but I don't want to get too heavily into it. We'll just go over what the sections are. So Days of War. I have a lot of character development in here, a lot of character back and forth there. There's using this for D&D. There's some Defender of Ford Pass breakdowns. There's the antagonist. More spells from D&D, I guess. I was using this for a D&D book as well. Characters from D&D campaign. This was the characters from the campaign that I had talked about that I was going to write. So I really brought down those characters. I even have a character in here with my name because apparently I need to include myself. So even back then I was very self-centered. Or whatever. I like to hear myself talk, I guess. D&D campaign story characters. Samuel Walker. That's his name. Okay, so that's all I got. There's got to be more in here, I'm guessing, but that's all I'm seeing towards the front of the... Oh, there's something. Okay. Civil War, level 3. Before or after... Oh, okay, this is a Slenderman story, because you got to bounce around when you're genres, right? So Slenderman killing people around... PC, it was a D&D story. Yeah. PCs, teleport, invisibility, nightmares, sickness, barbarian, fighter, rogue. Those three are not important to the first sentence. They're just all included in there. That's it. It was a Civil War adventure with a Slenderman as the bad guy. That was it. That's all that was written there. Denver Smith. Ooh. Who's this guy? I don't know. Let's find out. Lonely, middle-aged man. I feel attacked. No, I'm just kidding. Who sees illusions in his... crack myself up. In his hotel room, wallpaper moves. Curtains change colors. Strange women appear and disappear. Women, maybe, is probably a better word. That's what I've written, so probably should use that one. Some of these women try to kill him. Oh, no. The main character doesn't have any family that he knows of. His job is mediocre with just over minimum wage. This was back in 2000, so it could have been $7. And it depends on the state he lives. He lives in a hotel, penthouse, couple suite. Do I explain how he can afford the penthouse suite? Every day he is reminded of his loneliness. His room is the only one. Oh, it's the only one available. He doesn't have any hobbies except for boredom. His room costs all of his monthly pay. Everything is included. Phone, TV, food, etc. He doesn't do anything except sit in his room and watch the illusions. Well, okay then. So basically, he does his job. That's all the money he gets. He lives in the hotel. He has the room because it's the only one available. I don't know why they would continue to offer it to him. Maybe that's part of the illusion. I don't know. He spends all of his money there, but they provide continental food. The phone comes right to the room, and TV. So everything's included. That's it. That's the story. He's just some guy sitting in a room watching illusions. Very strange. Very strange. Let's see here. This is a D&D character. D&D character. They're like their stories. Beginning of an outline for something. No notes on that. I don't know. Then we got here's one of I know I got excited like a little kid, right? This is SPAC, right? SPAC. SPACK. SPAC. Space Alien Commander Killer. And if that sounds like something that a kid would put together, well, in the story, there's a little kid named RJ who basically all the time, his biggest thing, he's all into like aliens. He kills aliens. That's what he does as a kid. That's the game that he plays. And he says, I'm training, right? Well, he ends up going to therapy, and they ended up getting rid of it. So he doesn't do that anymore as an adult. Well, then the planet is attacked by aliens. And then he gets all these memories coming back. Memories that weren't his. That's crazy, right? So it's spat, right? So then he actually ends up becoming the savior because he has all these memories. I don't know how or what. I never got that far. But so his real name is Leroy James Candle. Leroy James Candle. That's beautiful, right? Okay, so RJ. That's why it goes by RJ. And if your real name is Leroy James, that's cool. I don't know. I don't know where I came up with this stuff. Blat blat. Die, green dye. That's one of the dialogue things here. Spat, right? So that's pretty fun. What do I got going on here? This is a song apparently. Do 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 da do do da do do da do 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 do. Watch the stars tonight. Do da do do da do 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 do. Fight the fight. Do da do do da do 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 do. With all your might. Do da do do da do. Little song I wrote. Yeah, cool. Fireflies, fireflies, glow all night. Through the trees they bring their light. Give what you can, take what's in sight. Rob I shall not be, but I shall fight. When we move around, we do right. When we move around, we do right. I already said that. Don't be fooled by our might. I am no more dark, but light. Watch the rise as the moon takes flight. A new day brings us new heights. Give what you can, take what's in sight. Rob I shall not, but I shall fight. Fireflies, fireflies so bright. Fireflies, fireflies at night. That's me as a kid writing stuff. Lost in the jungle. Adventurers hired to find a lost group of scientists. It is believed that they were attacked by rogue spellcasters. Sounds good to me. Another idea here. That's cool. That's cool. I believe this is a D&D campaign that I actually wrote out, like outlined pretty decently too. So that's fun. Anything else? Ooh, we got more stuff here. This is, what is this? This is a world. Tarnavia. Tarnavia. Humans, elves, dwarves, orcs, halflings, dragons, and basically how those cultures interact in this world. Humans, elf, dwarf, and all this fancy stuff that you can get. Some extra bonus stuff, all from that same D&D campaign. The backstory, 20 years later, all that fancy stuff. So this is like a long campaign, like a fully fleshed out thing that we did. The Anti-Mist Dragon has sightseeing, dragon's belly, because apparently you fight in the belly. I don't know. Yeah. That's it. Tales of the Underdark, and that led into another adventure. And that's characters. That's everything. We made it through everything, and we did it in such a short amount of time. Well, thank you, everybody. I hope you enjoyed this trip down memory lane as we went through my notebooks. And we got some great ideas. There's still a lot of stuff that we can go through. Some of the stuff in here I think really brings back a lot of great memories. So if you heard anything throughout all of that that you remember, take notes. Take notes. maybe YouTube will help me out with the timestamps down below. Maybe I'll go through and do those. I don't know. We're still new. We're still having fun here. This is just taking a look through all these. We probably could have done one video, or multiple videos for each book, but I don't feel like one of the books might not have had a lot going on. Either way, hope you enjoyed, and remember, stay positive, stay active, and stay awesome. And we'll see you in the next one.